Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to the Reading Through the Bible series. Today we will be talking about 1 Kings. I think a very important disclaimer before we get into all of this. I've obviously taken a huge break from posting about this, but I've also just taken a huge break from reading for this challenge. I did not complete it in 2024, but I do want to complete it this year. And after doing some reflecting and talking to some people about it, I just think it's really important that I finish posting about this series. I still don't know how valuable it is to anyone, but I just feel like something in my heart says that I should keep going with this series on my channel and make sure that it is complete. So we are talking about 1 Kings today. I have read through Jeremiah. So 1 Kings through Jeremiah, I have notes already on my phone from reading them from last year. So just note that for the videos of those books, I will be rehashing my thoughts of my reading of it from last year. So hopefully it's not just a good recap for you guys, it'll be a good recap for me and see what each book was about, what my thoughts were, and then Lamentations moving forward, those will be my thoughts from this current year. I know I mentioned this in the first video I posted for the series, which was last year, so I just wanted to say it again real quick. The version of the Bible that I am using is the ESV version, which is the English Standard Version, and a version that I used growing up that I'm very familiar with is the NIV version, which is the New International Version. I've definitely read passages from other versions besides those two before in the past, but just so that people are aware, my background knowledge and my current knowledge on the Bible are from those two versions primarily. And more importantly, the one that I'm quoting from in these videos is an ESV version, just so that you guys know. And I think I might have said this also in the Genesis video, but a resource that I use all the time and definitely recommend because it is free is the Bible app. You can get, I think, pretty much any version of the Bible on that app, which makes it really easy to cross-reference if you're not sure verbiage I'm using with the ESV. If you want to see what it would be in your version and you don't have the app, I definitely recommend. It's very easy to have on your device and then you can carry it with you wherever you go. All that being said, we will go ahead and get into 1 Kings now. Just a reminder, these are my thoughts from last year, so they will be a good recap for me as well. As always, I like to start with who the book is written by, and 1 Kings was written by Jeremiah. For the main takeaways that I took away from 1 Kings, I wrote that the book starts with David in his old age trying to figure out who the next king will be. Next, I wrote that Solomon is anointed king. I wrote that David dies. This happens in chapter 2. I wrote that Solomon prays for wisdom, which is in chapter 3, and also shows wisdom on the two women with the baby. Solomon builds the temple and his palace. Solomon also blesses the Lord. He has a prayer of dedication and a benediction, which is in chapter 8. Solomon turns from the Lord. This is in chapter 11. Different kings ruling over Judah and Israel. This is chapters 12 through 16, most of which were not following God. Elijah and the miracle of the widow's flour and oil never ending is in chapter 17. Story of the prophets of Baal defeated and God's altar burning only is in chapter 18. And finally, I wrote that the book ends with different people ruling over Judah and Israel. So yeah, those are my main takeaways from 1 Kings. I'm definitely glad that I'm rereading this. It's helping me to remember where in the storyline we are in the Bible at this point. For my didn't know / didn't realize section, I have 3 takeaways for 1 Kings. The first one I wrote, I don't think I ever put together that the Solomon who asked for wisdom from God was David's son. I think he asked for many different reasons to receive God's wisdom, especially considering he was king over God's people, but I think the fact that he was also David's son is just an interesting layer to add. Not that any king has been perfect, but I'm sure watching his father make decisions that he did had to add to his reasoning behind wanting wisdom. Yeah, I think this is a good one for me to reread because I think I still forget that Solomon is David's son. Like any person in the Bible, like any person who's living today, none of us are perfect, but a lot of David's choices and decisions and things he did were written about in the Bible. And I think getting to read about that and then kind of putting yourself in Solomon's shoes and understanding that he grew up hearing about those decisions and witnessing those decisions, I think that adds an interesting layer to why he wanted God's wisdom when it came time for him to rule. Second thing I didn't know or realize that I wrote was that Solomon was described as being the king with the most riches and wisdom. This was in 1 Kings 10:23. And then my third takeaway from this section comes from 1 Kings 19, 4 through 8. And I wrote that Elijah asked God to take away his life, and God's response was to send an angel with food and water and to tell him to eat. This happened twice. And then the angel acknowledged how hard it's been for Elijah, telling him, "Arise and eat, for the journey has been too great for you." I don't think I knew Elijah had ever asked that from God, and what a beautiful response to have God send an angel to you directly with 2 of the most essential parts of living a human life, which is food and water. Fulfilling the need while simultaneously affirming that there was still more planned for his life is such a beautiful thing. I'm so glad that I wrote this down as a third takeaway and to be reminded of this, that this happened during this book of the Bible. I just think these parts of the Bible really touched me, and I feel like I can really empathize with the people in the Bible who are going through these things. Maybe that's why they stick out to me so much, just because it feels like even though it happened so long ago, it's still a very relatable thing to today to feel like and to go through, and to like see and be reminded that even back then God cared so much for his people and took care of them and just their essential needs, to remind them that you still have so much more life ahead of you and that God has so much more planned for you in your life. It's just such a beautiful thing to take away. I'm so grateful to read about that. And then finally, my favorite verse from 1 Kings I wrote was 1 Kings 8, verse 56, which reads, "Blessed be the Lord who has given rest to his people Israel, according to all that he promised. Not one word has failed of all his good promise, which he spoke by Moses, his servant." Yeah, definitely, especially I think the first part of that verse really sticks out to me right now as I'm reading it again. I'm just going to read it one more time for you, this first section real quick. It says, "Blessed be the Lord who has given rest to his people Israel, according to all that he promised." First of all, the thought of God giving us rest, what a beautiful thing to read about. And then secondly, that is all because of what he promised. The part that follows that says, "Not one word has failed of all his good promise." Like, just a reminder that he promises us things like that, and then also that he never breaks his promises. I feel like those are really, really good things to read about, so yeah, I'm so glad we got to recap First Kings. Since I do have notes for a couple of the following books already done, and I have the day off, I'm hoping to film a couple of more of these today. Hopefully I can edit and get out some of these soon for you guys, just to get the ball rolling again and to show that I am still continuing the series. As always, all of these videos will be added to a playlist on my channel, which is linked below. So if you're interested in seeing any more of my thoughts and takeaways on any of these books, please feel free to check them out. For any of you who do enjoy these videos on my channel, I just want to say thank you for your patience in me posting these for my channel, and I hope that you can take away something from the ones to come in the future. As always, I hope you guys are having a good day, and if you're not, that's okay too. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!